we'll give her a pass on this one. All right, well, let's go ahead and get started. We've got 4 o'clock and we've got a quorum because I see Chris Lopez is on.
Yep.
So I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. We'll let the minutes reflect that Vice President De La Rosa is not in attendance. And I'm just going to jump straight into general manager comments, please. Did we lose? Wait, oh no, there's Patrick. Patrick, if you're talking, you're muted.
Yeah, I'm muted. All right.
There we go.
The common phrase. Yeah, we are having a few COVID challenges, unfortunately, all external exposures. We're a little short-staffed, but most people are, they're not fortunately, we haven't heard of any infections, just quarantines due to exposures and having to stay out of the workplace for a few days. But fortunately, the CDC guidelines have sort of reduced the timeline. If you test in, your quarantine is a little less than it used to be. So not a big deal. It is, unfortunately, Salinas area in particular is very heated up now. There's a lot of infection rates are very high right now. So we're doing the best we can, but things going as should, and operations are running, and we're using. That's the only update I have.
Okay, thank you. And then department manager comments. Are there any department managers that would like to make a comment tonight?
None for me.
Nothing for me.
Okay.
Nothing for me.
All right. Well, let's go to committee member comments. And Chris, you got anything for us today?
Just as we all know, the governor announced some new restrictions today that will be triggered by ICU capacities falling below 15%. I'm still trying to wade through the data to put up some sort of a message on social media to share with people what our impact will be. But what we know so far is that we are lumped in with the Bay Area region. They're not county by county any longer, but it's by region for this particular trigger, which is part of the emergency break, or e-break as the governor referred to it. And so for us at this point, the Bay Area region actually has some of the lowest ICU bed numbers in a positive way, meaning we don't have as many people in ICU as other regions throughout California. And so I know in Monterey County today, our published number is 35%, but again, it's not just based on us, it's based on our region. And so if trends continue, we do anticipate that we could be pulled back into this particular break. But when you look at what those impacts are with wineries, bars, and the like being closed, it's mostly what's already been closed since we were in the restricted purple tier 1 under the last setup. So I just caution folks to do what you can to keep your distance, wash your hands, wear a mask, and keep each other safe. I know that I've told people, a lot of people this, no single politician standing on a stage or behind a camera is going to end this pandemic. It takes us all as a community working together, making sure that we're taking care of ourselves and those around us to get us through this. And hearing today from Patrick that we've got some impacts, it weighs heavy on my heart because I know that a lot of these impacts are real. I speak daily with folks who've been infected and help them find resources. And on that front, it's been a long year. My heart, my soul is heavy with a lot of what's happened. And I just ask that everybody do what they can to keep each other safe as we go through this holiday season that I know will not feel normal. We won't be as close to people physically as we're used to being, but we need to just keep distance because we love one another, unfortunately. So take care of one another, and thank you for that opportunity, Mr. President.
Yeah, thank you for Chris and for giving us that update. I don't mean to make light of the issue, but yesterday I was watching a video of what the country of Belgium is doing. So if anyone wants a little bit of either levity or things could be worse, Belgium is allowing these, they have obscure rules about only a few people can get together for celebrations. It has to be outdoors. If can only be one person that goes indoors to go to the bathroom. If they go indoors, then no one else can go indoors for the rest of the get together. It is some interesting and goofy rules, if you will, that are even more stringent than what we're dealing with. So, yeah, just the overall message is stay safe and make those sacrifices short term so that we can benefit long term. All right, I have nothing else to add other than that. Public comments. So we did not have any public comments submitted. And I don't think, well, we don't have any public on the Zoom call, or the Zoom meeting, but if anyone is on the phone, if you would like to provide a public comment, then you would dial *9 to raise your hand. So again, that's *9 to raise your hand. And do we have anyone? You can see if anyone's dialed in, right?
Right. Nobody's, we don't have any public today.
Okay, then I'll go ahead and skip to the consideration item. The number 1 is the minutes of the November 5th, 2020 meeting. Chris, do you have any changes you need to make on that?
No concerns.
Okay, and we've got no public comment. So
Motion to approve.
I will second. We're both in favor. Motion carries. So we'll go to item number 2, October 2020 claims and financial reports. Ray.
Okay, we're back to just reviewing the statement of revenues and expenditures this month. Overall, our tipping fee revenue is practically flat year over year for solid waste. We're about $20,000 behind where we were October of last year. So solid waste tonnage is holding, which is a good thing because investment earnings and sales of materials are lagging far behind. Diverted materials is up about $400,000. The bulk of that, unfortunately, is a lot of clean fill dirt and biosolids, which revenue-wise is good short term. Unfortunately, long term, it just means that we compound our soil problem at the landfill, and we have to find a home for that as we begin we begin the process of starting to dig the hole for the next cell. Green waste is up about $150,000 year to date to the budget. So we will need a budget adjustment, which we'll bring back to the ECM board in January to manage the additional green waste along with some, revenue shortfalls and try to balance see what we need to do to make sure the budget stays balanced for the shortfalls in investment earnings, sales of materials, as well as the rate increases that were not approved for the current budget cycle, which are actually still in the budget. So we'll have to probably increase our solid waste tonnage and kind of get rid of the little wiggle room that we have just to make it all balanced. Expenditures are all in line, as I mentioned, with the exception of organics, which are right now just due to increased tonnage are substantially higher. And unless there's any questions.
Yeah, question regarding the dirt. So even though we've increased the rate, we're still seeing a good volume on that. And question for anyone who wants to answer. Is that primarily because there's still not a lot of landfills that are accepting that material, or is it a combination of that, or maybe there's more activities going on that are creating this dirt? What's kind of, you have the reason behind that at all?
I know there was a project out there that brought us a bunch of dirt. Brian, Caesar, if one of you can help me out, since you guys know where the dirt's coming from, hopefully.
There was the old Salinas gas plant over by Chinatown that had a bunch of dirt come out of it in the fall. And so the PG&E projects are still coming to us that are within the Salinas Valley. Yeah. The stuff outside the county that's being charged at the full rate, we get a little bit, but not as much as we were getting before we adjusted the rates. So If PG&E's got a pretty decent sized project within the valley, they will continue to come to Johnson Canyon.
Yeah. Okay. So, but the bottom line is, I mean, for the most part, that's the spike is from a one-time thing.
It is. There are one-time projects. We do have to manage that soil long-term, and we have way more soil than we need at the site.
Yeah.
So we have to continue increasing that rate to kind of push people, hopefully, from coming to the site if possible.
Yeah. But but bottom line though, this is not a trend.
No, it's not. It's a one-time project.
Yeah.
But we can expect to see that. We can expect to see these year over year. I mean, the PG&E, Caltrans do projects all the time. So,
Yeah.
you know, one of the things we haven't reported on yet, but Brian's been working on with our consultant on our site development plan, and that is to, you know, develop a process for, you know, utilizing that soil. So at some point in the next couple of months, we'll probably come back and just do a primer with the board on some changes that we have been working through the regulators with to allow us to, for instance, use more of that soil for final cover on the landfill, and to allow us to begin to close the older sections of the landfill so that we can get rid of that soil as we need to excavate the next 3 cells. So the good news is we hopefully will actually have a little bit more landfill capacity, and long term it'll actually be less expensive to close the landfill by applying just a larger layer of soil on top of the finished cells.
Okay. All right. I think that's the only question I have. Chris, do you have any questions?
No, I'm good with the report.
Okay. All right. And let's see. Recommended committee action forward to the board and recommend approval. Can I get a motion to that effect?
Absolutely. You got
Okay,
it.
and I will second, and we both approve, so motion carries. And let's go now. Geez, we're already to future agenda items. And part of this now with this future agenda items is do we want to talk now about our meeting, if we're going to do a full board meeting?
Yeah, I was intending to bring that up during this item.
Okay.
So at this point, we'll talk a little bit more in closed session, but the broader overview is that we're still waiting on Republic Services to reply to the last set of discussions we had just before Thanksgiving. And we've just haven't made any additional progress at this point. So I don't anticipate that we're going to need to have any board actions in the month of December, but we will take this up with all due speed at the EC and the board meeting in January. By then we intend to have something that will be discussed in public, as well as outlines of structures and things that we think will be able to move the project forward.
Okay. And then remind me, the way we have December set up right now, is it that we have a board meeting scheduled and we would need to cancel it? Or is it that we would need to call for a special meeting in December?
If scheduled, we would just put a cancellation notice.
Okay. Okay. So my preference, and Patrick, you tell me what your recommendation is, but my preference would be, based on what you just said, is to, at this point in time, cancel the December board meeting. I'd rather not have, 2 reasons. One is, let's send the message now to the board members, just out of respect, scheduling wise. But the other is, even if you hear back from them in the next week or 2, there's still going to need to be time to digest the information. And I don't think you'd have enough time to be able to do that and prepare for the board meetings. What's your recommendation?
No. Yeah, that would be my recommendation, because we, even if we hear from them tomorrow, you know, agendas are due for internal review on Tuesday. There's no time to put something together.
Okay.
And I think because we still have a few outstanding issues we'll talk about in closed session. that's going to take a little time to work through those. So I don't anticipate the response back is going to be a green light to go forward yet, but just to define what's left to work through.
Okay. Then with that being said, Chris, do you have any objections to us canceling the meeting, or do you have any questions related to that?
No, no objections. I'm good with it.
Okay.
I just had a quick question, if I could.
Yeah.
So the only question I had is, at the last full board meeting when we were discussing the selection of the next EC board, it was still kind of left up in the air what the makeup of the EC board was going to be. So is that decision going to be made in January, or that was the only kind of question I had, so that that process can be taken care of sooner rather than later.
Yeah. Well, let me give a partial answer there.
Sure.
And it's kind of two things. One is that yes, I totally understand what you said. We did leave it at the full board meeting that we would make a decision at this board meeting, at this exec board meeting, of whether or not we'd have a full board meeting. So at least all the board members know, and they're aware that we're going to be discussing it today. Historically, we have not had a board meeting in December. And so it's been, I don't know if it's been every single time, but at least from what I can recall, it is typically done in January of selecting the the executive board members. So I don't see any issues with that. But Patrick, what are your thoughts?
No, and I think because that's all. It actually has been the process. We normally will have an EC meeting with the existing seated EC members. We seat the new executive committee at the January meeting. I do recall, and it may have been several years ago, we did have one meeting where we lost 2 executive committee members, and we ended up not having an EC meeting in January. But in this case, we still have, unless there's a change in appointments. That's also the other thing that's sort of an unknown, though it hasn't been a problem in the past, and that's when each city council in the county make their appointments. Mm-hmm. So I'm assuming both of you will be reappointed and can continue to function as the EC for the final meeting in advance, but we aren't certain about the rest of the board members. Obviously, I think most will be reappointed, but that's a decision to be made by the mayors and the
right. And so that would be in my mind, the worst case is that I, for one, am definitely going to be keep my appointment to the Solid Waste Authority. And I would imagine Chris could probably say the same. But if for some reason he doesn't get appointed, then the worst case scenario is there's no EC meeting in January, and we just wait until the full board meeting to do the exec board appointments. But I mean the chances of that are slim to none.
Yeah, and the nominating committee has actually already made a decision, but that decision is contingent upon individuals being reappointed. So it's a contingent. I won't share it today, but it's a contingent decision that we probably won't have a certainty until the first or second week in January.
Okay. All right, I'm good. Roy, you
Yeah,
good?
no, I don't anticipate any changes on our end. I do think some of the cities are going to have changes, having watched a few of the meetings over the last couple nights in terms of who gets appointed to this board. But again, on my end, I don't see any hiccups.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm good. I just wanted to bring that up because, like I said, my concern was just we kind of left it without a direction on how that makeup was going to be laid out, and I just wanted to make sure to see whether we were going to do it December or January.
Yeah, should for some reason either Rob or Chris be unappointed, then we just won't have a January EC meeting.
Yep.
Okay.
Or if Selena, well, actually, there won't be a Salinas rep in January.
Yeah.
Until the full EC is appointed end of January.
Right. Okay. Patrick, anything else on the view ahead?
Nope. We've got a pretty typical January, and we'll be hopefully bringing some more clarity into the open session discussion for the public around the potential structure of our partnership with Madison Lane and the city of Salinas. Starting to get some public input on that.
All right, let's see. Have we had anyone dial in to the meeting?
No, we haven't.
Okay. Then for anyone who's on the Zoom meeting, before we go into closed session, well, and I guess I should read into the record, we're going into closed session. Let me go back to my agenda. So closed session on one item related to real property negotiations. And is anyone who's attending the Zoom who's not going to be in the closed session, does anyone wish to make a comment before we go into closed session? All right, seeing none, then we will, Chris, you've got the link for a closed session, right?
I'm sure it's in my emails. Let me double check.
It was emailed at
By Erica.
By Erica at 12:02.
No, I don't have that one actually. I have the same link as the last closed session.
I will resend it right now.
Thank you, Erica.
Okay, then we will adjourn to closed session and we'll come back to open session when we're done.
Hey, Rosie, Erica, and Mandy, and Brian and Ray.
Hi.
Hello.
Ray, are you still upside down?
I don't know. I haven't tried it. I kind of turned everything off. Let's see.
He's in the sunset. No, you're up, still upside down.
Yep.
You're
It's a
hanging from
lifestyle.
the tree.
They're calling you Vladimir.
That's like weird. All right.
All right, so
We're gonna turn that off.
You can go into the settings and rotate yourself.
And rotate myself?
Yeah,
Well,
so that's it happened to my my wife's little sister, and in the setting got turned
Oh,
around. So you
I
can go in and
see.
adjust your rotation.
Hey, now we can all be upside down.
I found it.
Cool.
I wasn't looking for a rotate. Let's see.
There
you
you
go.
go.
Oh, Ray, you hit the wrong button. Now I'm.
Oh, I rotated Rob around. That's pretty impressive.
That's amazing. Your powers never cease. All right. Before this devolves any further, we have nothing to report out of closed session, as evidenced by our goofing around. And I will adjourn this meeting at 4:42. Oh, I wish you all the best. And someday when we're all together, I'm going to give each of you a hug with my mask on. And I will sanitize my hands first. But
Hopefully that day will come sooner than later. I know we're still a few months away though.
amen to
Agreed.
that.
Well,
All
we're
right.
essential workers. Hopefully, I think we're a little farther up the list, but we're not just ahead of general public.
Yeah, we'll be, I think, tier 2.
I interpreted tier 3, but okay. Tier 2 is good.
Farm workers didn't even make the list after all that. They
I
forgot.
know, it's sad.
It's gonna be bad.
All right, so we have adjourned at 4:42. Have a wonderful holiday with your immediate family and no one else. Okay.
Wishing you health, guys. Wishing you
Bye,
health.
guys.
Same
Take
to all
care.
of you. Stay
Holidays,
safe.
everybody.
Good
Bye-bye.
night.
Bye.
All right, guys.